The Royal Gambit Chess Club had always been more than a place to play chess. It was a monument to legacy, status, and intellectual prowess. Sitting atop Fifth Avenue like a cathedral of quiet power, the building's grand marble steps and towering mahogany doors were designed to filter out the unworthy. Within, a world of polished leather chairs, vintage crystal chandeliers, and the steady tick of analog clocks created an atmosphere where conversation never rose above a whisper and judgments were rarely spoken aloud, only implied. On this particular Wednesday evening, the club buzzed with its usual hum, murmured strategies, soft clinks of crystal glasses, and the delicate scrape of wooden chess pieces on lacquered boards. Near the center, at a table always left unchallenged without invitation, sat Garrett Vale. At 42, Garrett embodied the Royal Gambit's traditions. Son of a U.S. ambassador and grandson of a British grandmaster, he had carried the club championship title for 7 consecutive years. Immaculately groomed, his salt and pepper hair was slicked back in a timeless style, and his navy blue suit, tailored within a thread of perfection, was accented with silver cufflinks shaped like knights. His expression was that of a man who had seen every opponent's move before it happened and grown bored of it. "This evening feels particularly dull," Garrett said, reclining slightly in his chair. He addressed Colin Ashcroft, a fellow member whose family had financed the club's second expansion decades ago. "Perhaps you've simply outclassed us all," Colin replied with a chuckle, sipping his Bordeaux. Garrett's response was a half-smile, devoid of humor. But then, as if on cue from some cosmic scriptwriter looking to shake up a stale scene, the heavy club doors opened, allowing in the intrusive brightness of streetlights, and someone utterly unexpected. She stepped through with the quiet ease of someone who didn't realize she had just crossed a line drawn by generations of silent exclusion. Her name was Eleanor Marsh. She wore a plain white button-down dress, cinched modestly with a worn brown leather belt. Her brown hair was tied back in a practical bun, and her face, free of makeup or affectation, was calm, her hazel eyes scanning the room with measured curiosity. "May I help you?" asked the receptionist, her tone barely masking her suspicion. "I'm meeting Dr. Henry Caldwell. He said to find him here at 8. The receptionist raised an eyebrow. "Dr. Caldwell called. He's been delayed at the university. You're welcome to wait, though I'm not sure." "Thank you. I'll wait," Eleanor said simply, and walked past the desk with a grace that belied her simple attire. She found a chair in the corner near the main hall of boards and sat, watching the games quietly. Her posture was upright, but not stiff. She crossed one ankle over the other, rested her hands in her lap, and observed, not with the detached gaze of a casual onlooker, but with the sharp attention of someone who saw more than others believed she should. Garrett Vale noticed immediately. He watched her for several minutes, noting how her eyes tracked the flow of each match. There was no fidgeting, no wide-eyed awe. She wasn't impressed. She was studying. "Who's that?" Garrett asked Colin. "No idea. Probably someone's nanny or a grad student lost in the wrong building." Garrett smirked. "She's watching the Sicilian defense unfold 2 boards over like she knows where it's going. Probably thinks the pieces are cute." Garrett stood, smoothing the crease in his trousers. "Let's see what the help thinks of strategy." As he approached her, murmurs followed. Garrett Vale approaching anyone unsolicited was rare. A woman dressed plainly? Unheard of. Eleanor didn't seem to notice. She was watching a queenside offensive unfold with quiet amusement, clearly predicting the error the defender hadn't yet realized. "Enjoying the view?" Garrett asked, his tone mild but unmistakably condescending. Eleanor turned, eyes unflinching. "Yes, thank you. You play?" "A little." He smiled, amused. How quaint. Around them, people began to gather. "I'm Garrett Vale, champion here for the last 7 years." "Eleanor Marsh," she said, no inflection betraying whether the name meant anything. "Care for a game?" he offered. "I'm waiting for someone." "Oh, this won't take long. Just a friendly match." "I'd really rather not." "A little friendly match never hurt anyone," he insisted, louder now, ensuring those watching heard. She looked around. The receptionist smirked. Spectators watched with the gleam of expectation in their eyes. "One game," Garrett pressed. "Unless you're afraid?" Eleanor exhaled, recognizing the trap. "Very well. One game." He beamed, gesturing toward a central table. Just then, The club doors opened again, and an elderly man walked in. Distinguished, wire-rimmed glasses, tweed coat. "Eleanor," he called, making his way over. "I see you've met some of our more colorful members." "Yes," she smiled. "Mr. Vale has offered me a match while I wait." Henry Caldwell's gaze flicked to Garrett, then to Eleanor, then back again. "Has he now?" His tone held both warning and delight. "Just a warm welcome," Garrett said smoothly. Henry gave a small nod. "Should be illuminating." The table was cleared and reset with precision. Garrett insisted on playing black, giving Eleanor the first move. "Ladies first," he said. She touched the white king gently before moving her pawn to e4. Garrett responded instantly with a knight. But already, something in her tempo had changed. Her posture straightened, her expression sharpened. She played not timidly, but with focused clarity. 5 moves in, Garrett's smile slipped. 10 moves in, he was sweating. 15, and the crowd that had gathered expecting a bloodbath realized they were watching a war. Eleanor sacrificed a bishop early, luring Garrett into a false sense of momentum. Then her rook swept in like a guillotine. She forced his king into the corner. "Check." Garrett grimaced. He countered, only to watch her pawn quietly advance to f7, signaling the beginning of the end. "Checkmate," she said softly, 27 moves in. Silence. The kind of silence that made chandeliers seem too loud. Garrett stared at the board as if someone had switched the pieces mid-game. That was unexpected," he murmured. Eleanor met his gaze. "Would you like another game?" That stung more than the checkmate. She reset the board without waiting for his answer. Around them, eyes widened. Colin looked like he'd seen a ghost. Henry Caldwell's face held the private joy of a professor watching a lesson unfold. "Another," Garrett agreed, recovering his voice. "But this time a wager." "I don't play for money," she said. "Not money. Answers. You beat me again, and I stopped challenging guests for sport. I win, and you tell me who taught you to play." Eleanor considered, then nodded. "Deal." The rematch began, and ended in 23 moves. Another defeat. Another silent crowd. When she stood to leave, Garrett reached for answers. "Who are you?" Henry stepped in. "Allow me. Ladies and gentlemen, Eleanor Marsh, once known as Eleanor Duval." Gasps. "The prodigy," someone whispered. "The one who disappeared before the finals." Eleanor smiled faintly. "I didn't disappear. I just left the stage." "Why?" Garrett asked. "You could have been world champion." She paused at the door. "Because winning stopped feeling like joy. And chess is supposed to bring joy." And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving behind her a club no longer sure of its foundations, and a champion humbled not by defeat, but by brilliance in its purest, most unexpected form. And Garrett Vale, for the first time in years, opened his notebook, not to log another victory, but to remember the day he learned how little he truly knew.